Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan and welcome back to the rip-roaring and high-flying comic vault. Today, getting back finally to some DC Powerpuff Girls. This is Powerpuff Girls number 4, written by Abby Denson with art by Stephanie Gladden. Of course, published by DC in the year 2000 and with an all-female team this time. Well, this clearly is an all-female team, but with at least our penciler and our artist an all-female team. This is a War Games-inspired scenario where another him story, has sent the Powerpuff Girls a video game and concocted this evil scheme in which the Powerpuff Girls find themselves unwittingly accidentally destroying the city of Townsville while playing monsters in a video game that just happened to have corresponding colors that go with their color of outfit. This one is wonderfully silly and wonderfully absurd, as the Powerpuff Girls always should be. It's certainly got that flavor and has the spirit of the Powerpuff Girls, feels very authentic to that show, but it's certainly not the cleverest Powerpuff Girls story I've ever read. It doesn't move all that far from that initial premise. It kind of spends a lot of time just showing the Powerpuff Girls with their monsters wreaking havoc in a kind of 32-bit video game, and then the monsters blowing up Townsville. When you get to the very end, I kind of expected there to be some kind of consequences for the Powerpuff Girls, like you've often had with episodes where the Powerpuff Girls are kind of responsible for something awful that happens, and everybody, the mayor and everybody kind of bands together to get upset with them, or, they have to, maybe they're grounded, or, something happens to them, but not in this one. This one, you get to the very end, and it feels kind of punchline-y, almost like this is a sketch before it's a story, and there's certainly plenty of that with Powerpuff Girls. Once again, I don't expect a real, thick, character-driven kind of plot with the Powerpuff Girls, but a little bit more so than you get here, where at the very end, it's the Powerpuff Girls just saying, oh, sorry, Mayor, we didn't go help stop these monsters because we were just playing video games. And it's not as clever as I think it thinks it is, although there are some wonderful moments, and it is very hilarious. I just wish that it had gone maybe a step further and maybe got to the premise a little faster and then did more with it. Maybe had the Powerpuff Girls realize what was going on a little bit earlier and have them have to do something to kind of fix this situation, because not only are they responsible in a roundabout way for destroying the city. Of course, once again, they have no idea that they're actually controlling the monsters that are wreaking havoc on Townsville, but they also are not answering the phone when the mayor calls because of those monsters, and there's a little bit of kind of social commentary, in a kind of satirical social commentary about kids getting too sucked into video games and not paying attention when their parents are trying to talk to them and being kind of in their own little world. And again, I just wish we went maybe a little bit further with that commentary. One of the things that's really fun in this is the various buildings that the Powerpuff Girls are destroying. They make a really big deal out of an anchovy factory, which I think is absolutely hilarious and absurd. The mayor is going through some of the buildings that have been destroyed, and of course everything in Powerpuff Girls is in threes, so you have the dentist and something else rather, and then the anchovy factory, and he not only mentions the anchovy factory, but says, worst of all, the anchovy factory. Heaven forbid that we end up not having anchovies. And it's hilarious because the other one is a toxic waste dump. So we've destroyed the dentist, the toxic waste dump, and which, might be good in a way, but then what happens to the toxic waste? And then, anchovies. And that's pretty hilarious. There's a little bit of fun callback to other things that have happened in Powerpuff Girls episodes. You've got Bubbles wanting to prove with her monster that she's hardcore, and that's one of my favorite episodes, so I kind of enjoyed that that came back up again. I think Bubble Vicious maybe is the name of that episode, if I'm not misconstruing it with another one. It's I mean, you know, not to be too overly critical of logic with a thing like this, but I kind of wondered if the Powerpuff Girls didn't immediately start recognizing landmarks and things in the city of Townsville, but then being I'm saying 32-bit because it looks like it's kind of in a 3D perspective as opposed to being like a 16-bit game, and the controllers they have seem to be kind of making fun of and exaggerating a PlayStation controller. So I think that's what I was trying to do, but perhaps even with these graphics, they're not immediately realizing that what they're looking at is the city of Townsville. These controllers are, as I said, absolutely absurd and hysterical, and really super impractical. They've got these really long handles that go down the sides, so I guess you grab onto the handles and then, you know, use the joysticks above them, you know, the sticks above them, but then it seems like they're way too long. And also what's really funny about it is the Powerpuff Girls don't have fingers or thumbs, so you know, there's the fact that Powerpuff Girls can, well, really do anything with their hands is hilarious, but with their hands, with the stubs, you know, they're kind of nubs that don't have hands, is always funny, but it's even more hilarious when you look at those grips. Him seems to be kind of this catch-all villain for these sorts of plots. Whenever we want to do something that where there would be no explanation whatsoever for some kind of a magical sort of plot, him is really the catch-all villain for that, and he's already appeared a couple times in this series, and every time he shows up, I find myself, for whatever reason, kind of rolling my eyes a little bit, where he just seems like, he's not a villain that I get real excited about. Like, he's got a really creepy look, and a super crazy voice, and maybe he's more fun of the show just because of that voice, but he's... So far, in this, whenever he pops in, and again, it's only been a couple times, but it's not like Mojo Jojo where it's like, oh, what cool, crazy, you know, plot is he gonna have this time? It's never from the silly, fun character quirks of that character. It's always more, here's an idea we have. Let's, instead of making up a villain, you know, here's like a really out there kind of, you know, magical sort of idea. How do we get the Powerpuff Girls to play a video game that would, you know, destroy the city? I guess him. Okay, there we go. And then that's who we use for that. And it never goes any further than that, really. Like I said, this is obviously aping things like war games and again, it could have gone a lot farther with the whole kind of, you know, video game commentary stuff. I was kind of surprised that there weren't any direct references to that movie, and that at no point, I kind of expected the game to be put in and then a voice pop up or something on the screen say, would you like to play a game? But, like, you know, that never happens. But anyway, this was a fun one, kind of run-of-the-mill Powerpuff Girls, but I enjoyed it. Anyway, thanks as always for watching, sure appreciate it, and I will try to get to some more of these in the not-too-distant future, and some other comic vaults of different sorts. And in the meantime, I'm Captain Logan, and happy reading.